Hello, and welcome to Ethanol Producer Magazine's podcast. Today we're speaking with Tom Haag, president of the Corn Board of the National Corn Growers Association, a farmer-led trade association with offices in St. Louis and Washington, D.C. Haag is a fourth-generation family farmer in south central Minnesota. Along with his son Nathan, he grows more than 1,700 acres of corn and soybeans. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you for having me this morning. It'd be a pleasure to be on the podcast with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for speaking with us. So just to get us started, could you just kind of go over some highlights of this year's corn harvest and how it's been shaping up?
Yeah, we finished up corn harvest November 1st, and we're in quite an area here in my area. We were late getting in, and then we started planting corn around May 8th, which is about 2 weeks behind schedule, and then we got a 7-inch rain, and then we did not have any major precipitation until August, so we didn't know where our corn crop was going to be. And when all of a sudden we got into with the combine to start harvesting, we were surprised that our yields were a little bit less than average, but we were still running strong 170 to 175 bushel corn. So these new products that they send out there to us are amazing, how they will withstand Mother Nature's issues and come out with still a very, very respectable crop.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So what are some things you think ethanol producers should know about this year's harvest, kind of going into this next year of as far as like corn prices, corn quality, all those different kind of benchmarks?
The way it looks is that the corn price is going to be pretty active yet, right where we're at. There's, we have a few states like Nebraska and Kansas where they were drier and had some issues. But I think overall in the Midwest, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, I think there's enough corn out there to make sure we don't have an issue with that food versus fuel issue that we've had in the past, where there's going to be plenty of corn for food and plenty of corn going into the ethanol. And the quality of the corn this year for us was very good. I mean, we had high test weight. It was nice big kernel. So the quality is there. So I foresee us using about the same amount of corn towards food and fuel for ethanol.
Sweet. That's good to hear. So could you talk about kind of the percentage and the forecasts going into 2023? How's that shaping up as far as the forecast?
I would say the forecast with ethanol is it's still strong. We're seeing it come back up and used in our own United States more, with unleaded 88 being more popular, and in certain states the E85 being very popular just because of a cheaper cost at the pump, so that is helping the consumer out there. So I would say we still should be on track of using the same amount of corn, that 1/3 amount of corn going into ethanol as we have in the past.
Awesome. That's good to hear. All right. Could you talk about some of the upcoming rules or legislation that the NCGA is kind of participating in or keeping an eye on?
We are, unleaded 88 came into effect, where we had it that we could be used year round, and that was a great win. And then all of a sudden the courts decided we can't, that there was some issues or whatever about making that a law. Well, then, we got a 1-year okay from our administration to use it again this past summer. And NCGA, with a lot of the other governors in the Midwest here, are we've approached the administration and say, hey, this needs to be year round. It is saving the consumers money. There's times in Minnesota alone here, unleaded 88 was 50 cents a gallon to 60 cents a gallon cheaper than unleaded 87 octane. So that's a huge savings, and we need to continue to push for that and have that year-round usage, instead of only having to talk to administration every year to make sure that we have that unleaded 88 available.
Yeah, for sure. On that note, I wanted to ask you about the Next Generation Fuels Act, and can you just tell me a little bit about why the NCGA is supporting this piece of legislation, and how it can benefit ethanol producers as well as corn producers throughout the Midwest?
Sure, that was that one that it was started with NCGA. It came out of our action team, the ethanol action team, and there was it's a group that just started studying this and saying if we can get on this Next Gen Fuel Act that can use up to 30% ethanol in the gasoline. You can put that with a high compression engine. That means we are getting a better quality air coming out of that tailpipe because it's a cheaper octane that we can put in there. It's also, like I say, it's a cleaner burning fuel. So it'd benefit not only corn growers, it'd benefit the consumer that you're using a product that's going to be able to put less pollutants into the air, clean the air up, and like I say, it'd be a win-win situation. One of the things that we want to emphasize is that if we want to compare apples to apples with electric vehicles, let's compare apples to apples all the way through, where all the electric companies, where they get their electricity from, batteries that are included, everything from the start to the finish. And we know we can compete with them because we have scientific data out there already that ethanol is a good product. It's renewable, and that it's good for the air. So I mean, we can compete with it if they give us the chance.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious. Are there any other pieces of legislation that the NCGA is excited about, or backing, or kind of that is kind of under review by you guys and the other trade associations currently?
Just I'll come back one more thing with our Next Gen Fuel Act. We got it started in the House, and then this past summer we've got it in the Senate. So we've got both House and the Senate out in D.C. in their chambers. So that is one good thing, and we're going to continue to push now with whoever we have in control of the House or the Senate out there. We know the Senate's going to be the Democrat, and we'll see where the House goes, but we're going to still push on that. The other big thing that NCGA will be pushing for is that we know the Farm Bill is coming to a close here with year 23, and they're going to start working on the new Farm Bill. And our big thing that are pushing on that is that to leave crop insurance right where it's at. Don't try to take away from it. Don't. It's working for the farmer. It's a private public entity that works. It gives that farmer a chance to what percentage he wants to go on crop insurance, and we're strongly saying leave it alone. We're happy. It'll continue to work, and the farmers will continue to use it as a safety net in their farming operation.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on what role you see the ethanol industry playing for corn producers in the years ahead.
I think it's a thing that we with NCGA and our ethanol companies like Growth and ACE and Renewable Fuels Association, we continue to work closely with them to make sure we're all on the same page, because if we're all in and working together, it's easier to get legislation passed and convince lawmakers it's the right way to go. So we're going to continue to work strongly with them, and hopefully things work out and things come out on the positive end with our ethanol, coming down the road here in the next few years.
Absolutely. That's great. Did you have any final thoughts or things you feel ethanol producers should be aware of going into this next year?
Any corn farmer should be involved. You have to be involved. You have to talk to your politicians. You just don't say, well, I'll let somebody else do it. No, we are only 1.5% of the population in agriculture. So every time our voice is heard, it is a positive, and we need the individuals to talk with their local politicians, out in DC and to get their point across, and just to say how important agriculture is to us and to for America.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Tom. I had one last question. I was curious if you had any thoughts about some of the sustainable farming practices that I know some of the ethanol associations have been trying to push for benefits for farmers who are pursuing such things like no-till practices to make sure that they get kind of credited as well for those practices and get benefits for that. Do you have any thoughts on that topic, or is that?
That's one thing that NCGA started. We had a task force put together to on sustainability farming, and that they came back with some excellent things for farmers. And the first thing that you got to realize that every farmer farms differently. There's a lot of things down in the southern states that will work with using no crop or no tilling, using cover crops. As you get further north where I am, it gets tough to say the cover crops would work, and it's a lot of the no-tilling just because of the days of warming up before we get a chance to plant and getting a chance for that cover crop to grow. So, but every farmer is doing sustainability more than we just do it every day, so we don't think about what we're doing or whatever. We just know we're doing things to improve our ground so that the next generation, like my son and then his sons, hopefully, have that soil in better shape than what we're leaving it as right now. So everybody's working towards getting the ground in better shape and taking care of it. And we're working with other groups, and if we can show that what corn is doing, it's going to help the other groups learn and just to adapt to what we're using. And then hopefully there is some credits that the farmer will be able to get, where he will maybe get some money for this carbon credit coming down the road.
Yeah, for sure. That's exciting. Thank you so much for your time, Tom. I think that we're going to call it a day, but thank you so much.